I went from spending an average of $500 on my electricity bill to now just under $10 while still be able to power my electric car. And this is all thanks to the solar panel system that I got and owned for over a year now. And since 1 year has passed, I'm ready to tell you what I learned about owning Tesla Solar with the Powerwall, how to prevent yourself from dealing with any headaches I had to deal with Tesla support, some hardware failure that I had a temporary fix and take matters in my own hands, and some tips I wish I knew from the very beginning. And now that it's been over a year, of course, I experienced all 4 different weather seasons, including a tropical storm we recently experienced here in California. Now that all that has gone by, it's time for me to share with you everything, including the numbers. So I live in Northern California, where it's always over the triple digits during summer, and my electricity provider happens to be PG&E. And if you recall what PG&E have done in the past, you know. And because of that, where I live happens to be one of the locations where it was hit with all those blackouts, and PG&E is charging a lot of money for electricity for them to recover, which is why the city where I live, my neighborhood, electricity is more expensive than your standard neighborhood. And 3 years ago, I purchased my first house, and after receiving a $500 electricity bill for just using it normally, I wasn't going to let this continue to happen. So I did a ton of research. I called a lot of companies, got a lot of estimate quotes from third-party solar companies, and out of all of them, Tesla actually is the best value. And it's for a lot of good reasons. One of which is most of those third-party solar companies use Tesla solar, which explains why they were more expensive than Tesla's. So I decided to just go with first party instead of going by those third parties that you'll typically see at Costco or even sometimes like a Home Depot. Especially when it comes to their Powerwall. Those third-party brands actually use Tesla Powerwall, which means it's good. And then when I was doing all this research, another risk I found and faced was a lot of people who would buy those third-party brands. Unfortunately, those solar companies would eventually go out of business, either bankruptcy or just disappear entirely, which means the warranty of those solar systems will also go away. So I was shocked to find out this was a common thing. So I just pulled the trigger and got Tesla, which wasn't a bad decision, especially now that I realize Tesla always integrates new free features. And I'm going to go ahead and show you some amazing features that the Solar Power app actually has to offer. So I did all this and signed all the papers to order the Tesla system back in December of 2021. It was not until May of 2022 when they came by and finally installed my solar system. So it's true, there is a massive long wait time, but once they're here, they installed everything quick. They unload everything in 2 big semis, and in under an 8-hour shift they installed everything. Just however, it took another day, so it took me 2 days because apparently they wanted to make sure something was wired properly. So they came back on the second day to inspect it, but then after that, after the 30 minutes of the next following morning, it was turned on. My solar system was activated and it was generating electricity. Just I wasn't cleared to operate yet. Now my solar system specs are this. I have the Powerwall Plus, and the Plus is just this upper inverter on top of the Powerwall. And then over here, this is the gateway, which allows you to send back power to the grid once your battery is full and your house is producing more electricity than what your house needs. And I decided to go with the 8,500 kilowatt panels, which at that time, all this in total back in 2021 was $26,000. I also noticed right here there's a typo. It says 8,500,000 kilowatt panel, and this is the contract I had signed that they gave me. I wonder if I could do something about this. Interesting. But the installation in total came out to be $30,000, which was great. Since I signed it ahead of time before the inflation and the chip shortage, I was actually locked at that price, including the APR, which I was able to get 2.99. And yes, I decided to go with the 10-year loan, and I didn't realize it was a 15-year option, or else I would have just got that. Just have to click this little down arrow. But if you're wondering why I didn't pay it off fully, it's because this isn't going to be my forever home, and I'm actually planning on moving out of California pretty soon. And when I spoke to a couple of mortgage officers and realtors, they all said the same thing, that the solar system is able to be transferred over to the other person, the other homeowner, and the loan will actually stay with that house until the loan is fully paid off, increasing the dwelling price. And it doesn't really make sense for me to pay it off since I'm moving out, but it's definitely a good selling point for the household because in the city where I live, solar is a necessity, or you're gonna end up paying a lot to your electricity provider. And if you go on Tesla's website and get this similar spec, the payment comes out to be $327. So I'm glad that was locked at $250. But if you select the 15-year loan, it's $250, which still is a really good deal. You can also get $500 off if you use my referral code, link in the description down below. I used one when signing up for mine, so I got a nice little discount from that. So you can also use my referral and save some money. Now I am aware Tesla does also offer the solar roof, but realistically that's not really for me because that's more expensive, and from the research I gathered, it doesn't really produce as much energy compared to solar panels. Solar panels are still more energy efficient. Solar roofing is a new technology, so it's really expensive. And another con to the solar roof is that it doesn't last a lifetime. It only lasts 25 years or maybe 30 if you're lucky. So I don't really see a massive selling point here because you got to replace them like a normal roof, and it's triple as expensive to replace. So it doesn't make sense to go with the roofing option. The panels I have generate enough power for me, as you're going to go ahead and see. And then if you plan on selling your house in the appraisal, notice that you have solar roof. It doesn't do anything to the pricing of the property because all it does is just check marks. Is the property equipped with solar system? Yes or no? Yes. It's the same property increase as solar panels. So it just didn't make sense. And plus, Tesla solar panels are actually really advanced and pretty premium because they actually have these ducts around the panel system that prevent small animals or even birds from nesting underneath them. So nice premium stuff. But now, once my system was installed, the next step is to wait until you receive permission to operate from your energy provider. And once you get that, you could then push power to the grid and receive some credits when your battery bank is full. But then after my system was installed, I noticed that my solar energy wasn't producing energy anymore. And I noticed a weird trend where during hot sunny days, it'll stop generating electricity, and once it cooled down, it began generating electricity. So this had my head scratching. I was like, I think it's experiencing an overheating problem. But I did the next best thing, and that was to call Tesla solar support directly. And it's true. Their customer service is not the greatest, but if you keep it cool, keep it mellow, after being on hold for several hours, I managed to get a hold of somebody who was also mellow and chill and was able to actually help me out. And keep in mind, these guys are just customer service representatives. They probably don't have any experience or are even trained how the solar system actually fully operates. And from what this gentleman told me, I don't want to get him in trouble, he was able to see a quick diagnostic on my solar system and there was indeed something wrong. So he put a note in for me, and he did his best to actually hold the replacement part on me until a tech representative on their end gets notified that one of their solar system that was recently installed is acting funny. So he put a note in for me, had the part reserved for me, and that was the phone call. So I just had no choice but to wait. But I did some research and I found out that this was a common thing. As on Reddit, I found a couple people talking about this similar experience that I'm experiencing where their system was overheating. So I did the next best thing and actually used an external cooling source, like an external fan. So although it may look janky, this actually was working, where it was actually helping keeping the inverter cool, and I'll still continue to generate electricity. So if this happens to you, just pop this open and just put a fan and just let it cool it off by air. But 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from Tesla, and they told me they're going to send somebody to replace that inverter so it could actually operate properly. Thanks to that guy, I was able to get that replacement part replaced quick instead of having to wait months from what I've been reading when it comes to replacing broken component parts on the Powerwall. This is why I always say, don't be mad at the customer service people. I know some may suck, but eventually you'll get somebody that actually is nice and will actually go above and beyond to help you out. But once my solar system was fixed, the next month I actually got the permission to operate, which means I can now rotate my power meter back to receive credit on my next electricity bill. And this is how my electricity bill looks like for the past 23 months. So at the very beginning, I was paying around $400 plus the fall of 2021. Then on May 2022 was when I received and had my solar system installed without power of operation. And it was, but that month, as you can see, I literally lowered my monthly electricity bill around $300. And then on June 2022 was when I had full operational month with my solar system, and my bill went down to $104. And then my system broke, unfortunately, and then went back up to $211. But once my system was fixed, halfway of that month, my next falling bill was just $120. And as you see right here, when I got the permission to operate, my bill in October was $228, but I had $113 of credit, so it would end up costing me $115. And now that I was actually collecting electricity credit, in November I actually paid $0. So this is when I started charging my car more and more, to the point where my vehicle is 70% charged by the sun. And that's when I learned more about charging my Tesla vehicle when my solar system is generating a lot of energy and sending it back to the grid. So I was experimenting with the app by doing this a lot. So by December, I only paid $21 on electricity, but then I went down to 10, then 11, and then 12, and you should see the picture by now. And this was showing me that the amount of panels I have was the perfect amount for my household. 8,500 kilowatts panels was the right amount to power my 100 kilowatt Tesla battery with some extra juice to plug in hybrid vehicles I will typically get for work. And keep in mind, this is me actually running my AC unit on all the time and only turning it off at night when the outside temperature matches the inside temperature. And since we're in the subject of the Powerwall has a battery capacity of 13.5 kilowatts, but in reality you can only use about 10,000 of it, because the tech who installed this explained to me it needs to have 11% or more of battery inside in order to operate the solar panels, because if you drain more than 11%, it's going to take a long while to charge back up and operate your solar system, which is why the app recommends not going below 11% unless of an emergency. Now, if you have an Apple Watch, I highly recommend checking out this Apple Watch app, because this allows me to monitor everything of my Powerwall right here on my wrist as well as see the current data and outputs that my solar system generated throughout the day. This is super addicting stuff. I have it linked in the description down below. It is a one-time purchase, however. Okay, so first thing first, I want to talk about this widget right here. This is all powered by that Powerwall management widget I was showing you earlier on the Apple Watch. Here I can actually monitor the battery bank on my lock screen. But then the main app is right here, and this is the official one from Tesla. Here, this gives us a lot of real data currently that's going on in the household, so we can monitor the battery life percentage that our Powerwall has charged and how much power we're actually receiving currently with our solar panels and how much the house is using. And if I go ahead and tap on the solar panels, this will actually give us the data, how much solar panel energy our panels have created so far. And right now you can see what's using it too if you look at the very bottom. So a good portion of it was house use, and then some of it also went to the grid. And you hit this little eye icon right here, this will just solely show us the solar that we generated. We're making a good healthy amount, about 50 kilowatts every single day. And the house only used close to less than 30% of that. So the remaining factor goes to the grid. But if we go ahead and click at months, this will give us a clearer graph really how much we use a month. And with about 8,500 kilowatts panels, this is more than enough juice that my household needs. And if we keep going back to like the late springtime, in May, we're still generating 1,500. We've been averaging 1,500, but in March, when it gets cloudy, overcast, just shy of 1,000, which is still is a lot of juice for my household. February, that's when we actually start seeing like the winter weather, and as well as some spring. So 600 kilowatts on January, and in December 500, which is not a lot, but immediately bounces back in November. So really, it's just 3 or 4 months of just having under just shy of 1,000 kilowatts per hour. But once we get past April, everything is just automatically 1,500. There's plenty of solar energy available here in Northern California. Now, if we actually go ahead and change the graph to yearly, this will give us another general idea how much we need to use yearly. And again, this is a lot of free solar energy we're just creating. Well, not really free, but I mean, like, it's definitely a good investment. So almost 9 million kilowatts so far of this year, and last year having a solar panel half that year or had 7 million. So we should be coming close to like 15 to 12 million. Now, if we had our car plugged in, this is a past recording because it was a lost sunlight. I just didn't have time to record this. The house solar panels are generating 5 kilowatts while the vehicle is using 4, and the remaining goes to the house, giving us real visualization of the Tesla Powerwall communicating with the Tesla charger for our car. This is why this is pretty cool. And if you like to, you can actually go in and adjust the percentage you want the solar energy to continue delivering to your vehicle. Because if you go to your vehicle side when it's charging, that little yellow dot is the solar energy. So giving us the icon, this is how much solar energy it's actually receiving. All customizable. You can slide it on the app or in your vehicle. So you don't have to do that manually. Now, other cool features is you do have the capability to override your unit to actually go completely off the grid. So it won't draw any energy from the grid. So I do like that Tesla didn't restrict this and gives us, the user, the power to override this. Another optional feature, if you scroll down, you can see the virtual power plant. This is a feature that allows Tesla Powerwall owners to be a part of. So right here is the estimate amount I will receive in credit if I enable this, and this allows PG&E to actually take power from my Powerwall in case of a blackout, so I can actually power my neighborhood, or also help them when their demand is really high. So that's just a quick thing. Since I have PG&E, I'm not going to enable this, but this is also what Tesla is using in Texas to allow Tesla owners to charge their vehicle unlimited times for free with a subscription. I'm assuming it's using the Powerwall to accomplish this, and soon, maybe later on, Tesla could take over as a new electricity provider. So you could pause it and read more detail about that. I just gave it a quick summary. Other things you can find if you go into your settings and you tap on Powerwall. Here, I know I was saying 11%, it's really 20%. I just didn't realize I said this mistake, but it's 20%. It's recommended. Anything below will allow the Powerwall to charge first before you can actually utilize the solar system. So 20% is the sweet spot, but here you can actually allow it to be self-powered or time-based control. Time-based control will allow the Powerwall to charge only when it's during low peak hours and peak hours. For my personal experience, you get a lot more value if you do self-power because it gives you more credits to actually lower your electricity bill. So if you're trying to lower your electricity bill, you want to select this. But if your electricity provider doesn't give you credits, you want to select the time-based control. So prioritize charging the power bank at all times instead of giving it back to the grid. Then down here, if you actually click on your plan, you can actually monitor peak and off-peak time, and you can select the plan you may have right here or right above. And if you go down, this will be where you actually enable permission to operate, yes or no. Since I already got the approval, I have it on yes. Now if we go back and we tap on EV charging, here is where you can actually adjust the percentage of how much you want your car to be able to take out of the Powerwall. Now the Powerwall, again, is 10,000 kilowatts. Most EV vehicles are close to 100, so for me, it doesn't really make sense to allow the Powerwall to actually take that much energy. I only allow my vehicle to charge when there's a lot of solar energy. So personal preference, you could adjust it from here. Let's go back and go into the storm watch. So by having this mode enabled, which I recommend doing so, this allows your Powerwall to automatically adapt to weather conditions. Whenever there's a national warning that a storm is coming and that there is a high risk of a blackout, the Powerwall will actually prioritize itself to charge up as much as possible. So in case of a blackout, your household still has power. Aside from that, that's the app in a nutshell. Really useful stuff and a lot of fascinating data. You can literally spend hours just staring at it. Now, if you own a Tesla vehicle or an EV in general, go with the first party level 2 charger from Tesla, because the Tesla Powerwall actually communicates with the charger. And if you have a non-Tesla vehicle that you like to charge with, just pick up the adapter, or you can buy the other version with the non-Tesla standard 2 charger plug-in hybrid or EV. Now, more information about my AC units. This household has 2 AC units, and the tech who installed my Powerwall advised me that my AC units require 23 amps to start it up. The Powerwall is only rated 22, but if I get a second Powerwall, which I wish I've done, it would have had a total of 44 amps. So in other words, if there's a blackout and my AC unit isn't already running, it won't be powerful enough to turn on my AC. It has to take 1 extra amp from the grid to power it off because it needs 23. So just information I wanted to tell you. But now let's go ahead and talk about the Q&A. So warranty. So here we are on service and warranty section on Tesla's website. So since we purchased our system through Tesla, we have solar warranty for purchase, and 25 years of panel performance warranty, because our panels are guaranteed to last 25 years and still be able to produce 80% of its performance. If you notice less, you can also file a claim with Tesla. You will have to pay for the labor costs apparently. But 10 years is covered regardless. This includes a power wall, your solar inverter, as well as the roof mounting and leaks. So you're in good hands. And in terms of maintenance, the only maintenance you need to do is just wash your solar panel once a year with water. You could hire a third party or you could do it by yourself, and mine are about due. It's been 1 year now. It's time for me to get up there and actually pressure wash them or hire a third party, which I may end up doing. And the tax credit does apply on loans, so long as the loan is to own, not to rent, and it's under your name. And as the time making this video, 2023, the tax credit right now is 30%, which is much higher than ever before. When I signed up back in 2022, when I signed all the papers and began my payment and received my copy of receipt that I purchased it, it was 26%. So now it's 30s. Right now is a good time. And during blackouts, the unit's smart enough to detect a blackout that will instantly just switch on. So all your electronics and everything else will still be powered on as if a blackout never occurred. And surprisingly, throughout the 2 years I've been living here, I only experienced less than 4 blackouts. And it's not even noticeable. Only one time it was noticeable because the blackout lasted 30 minutes. And it was really cool because I was the only household that still had power on my street. So I definitely recommend getting a power bank or 2 if you can. If you're looking to pick one up, be sure to use my referral code because you will get a $500 discount and some Tesla credits to get a free shirt, I guess. So feel free to use that referral code in the description. Check out this video over here if you're planning on buying an EV. I go a little bit of detail about my solar system right there on what to expect if you're charging an EV. So check out that Model Y review. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I shot this video with this stupid cam. This thing was awful. Resolution looked like this.